All right. So this is Luna 1. What does it look like to you? It looks like Sputnik. So the Sputnik, too special. Okay, the Sputnik, this is Luna 1. It was designed to go to the moon and hit the moon. This is what we call not a lander, but an impactor. Okay. So Luna 1 was intended to impact the moon, but missed. So you know when they say like shoot for the moon, and if you don't make it, you land in the stars. Which first of all, that's saying is stupid. But second of all, kind of true, at least in the case of Luna 1. Luna 2, which was an identical spacecraft, launched in the R7, just like the Sputnik was. There we go. Here's Luna 2. It's got its antennas all folded up here inside the aero shell, right? Inside the fairing. Luna 2, I just love the way that they describe it on the history page. Luna 2 successfully hit the moon's surface. So it successfully crashed. Right? Luna 2, so this was the first human-made object to touch the moon. Luna 2, okay? Luna 2, the first human-made object to, excuse me, first human-made object to touch the moon. The Ranger, okay? The Ranger, which was the US lunar impactor mission, looked like this. This is the Ranger. It's got its antenna, it's got a camera, some solar panels, right? Thermal shroud, all sorts of stuff, okay? Scientific gamma ray spectrometer. So the Ranger program was able to collect more science than the Luna program. But the United States was a little bit behind the Soviet Union. We know that, right? This was also an impactor, okay? Again, impactors, we didn't really know how the whole soft landing thing would go. Okay? The Soviet Union was the first to soft land a spacecraft on the moon using the Luna 9. They are not. They literally named their spacecraft after the destination. The Luna 9, this was the first attempted soft landing. Okay? And it actually successfully did it. Okay? Also, don't you just love how the Soviet spacecraft just totally look like, well, they look very retro-futuristic. They look very like, I'm in the Soviet Union and I'm going to space, you know?
They look kind of steampunky.
Yeah, they look very, very steampunky. Yeah. Okay. There were several missions to orbit the moon, including Luna 10, which was very similar to the Luna 9 design. The United States also had orbiters, the Pioneer program. Okay. Pioneer 1 looked like this. Let me pull it up for you. Pioneer 1. Little engine here. couple solar panels along the sides, a couple of scientific instruments. Okay, pretty simple little orbiter, but got the job done. All right. Now, soft landers. So we talked about Luna 9 as being the first spacecraft to soft land on the moon. The United States also sent some soft landers, some robotic soft landers. This is Surveyor 3. Okay, Surveyor 3, little spacecraft, bunch of electronics and science materials. Pretty cool little spacecraft. A lot of science. Okay, what's cool about the Surveyor 3 is not only did it land on the surface of the moon, but it was also visited by Apollo 12. Pretty cool. So Apollo 12, I just love this shot. This is a great shot. Okay, you have Pete Conrad, who was the commander of Apollo 12, coming to visit his little robotic buddy, right? And then you have the lander in the background, the lunar excursion module in the background. This is just a great shot. What? This was a very accurate landing site. They did a really good job. Pete Conrad did a really good job of landing very close to the Surveyor 3. So there you go. Apollo 12 visited Surveyor 3. It'd be, in my personal opinion, Apollo 11 landing site would be like the coolest place to go visit. I think that this would be the second coolest place to go visit on the surface of the moon. Go see the Apollo 12 landing site. Go see the Surveyor 3 landing site. You know, just a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool science that was done. So that's the Surveyor program. Yeah, question, Elijah?
So you never said what the purpose of
an impactor really was to help us understand like what the gravity at the moon would be like. Also as it was approaching, right? Also just navigating to the moon, navigating to the surface of the moon. How do you do that? How do you shoot toward the moon? What are the orbital dynamics, right? Nowadays, we can use impactors because we have a whole bunch of seismographs on the surface, seismometers on the surface of the moon. We can use impactors to create little ripples that go through the lunar surface, and that helps us understand the interior of the moon. But at first, it really was just like, how do we get there?
So were these impactors sending data as they're descending? Or
Yeah.
Sitting there watching them?
Yeah, as they're descending. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to see them, but as they're descending, they were sending back data. There were also some successful rovers sent to the surface of the moon. This is Lunicod. Lunicod. What? Apollo 12 is what's landed by Surveyor 3. Yeah. This is Lunicod. This again, it's just so retro, man. Like this solar panel that unfolds, just this circular solar panel. And yeah, it's very, this is a Lunicod. This was a Soviet rover that was launched with Luna 21. So the Soviets sent a whole crap ton of lunar missions. This is Luna 21. This is a lander, and on top of the lander, you've got the Lunicod rover.
Oh, okay.
So you've got the wheels here, and then here's the fuel tanks with the engines for landing. Pretty cool. This was Luna 21. While the Soviets never made it with people to the surface of the moon, they did a lot of robotic exploration of the moon. Okay?
That's like just as good, right?
Well, I wouldn't say it's just as good, but it is impressive, right? It is impressive because in a lot of ways, I mean, we got a lot of very important information from from the Luna program, right? Including the first images. So the first image of the far side of the moon. Remember, the moon. Remember that the moon never faces the far side toward us, right? Never does. Humans have never seen with their 2 eyes the far side of the moon except for the 24 astronauts that went there, right? And before the 1960s, no human had ever seen it in any form, the far side of the moon. This is the first image of the far side of the moon. It's very low resolution. Got to remember, this is the early 1960s.
That's the Death Star.
That's no moon.
That does look like the Death Star.
Okay. Obviously, we have much higher resolution images now. We have much higher resolution images now. But you have never seen this moon with your 2 eyes. And the fact that the Soviet Union successfully captured an image of the far side of the moon in the 1960s was a big deal. Okay? When this image came out, this shocked the world. Okay? It was all over in newspapers and so forth, and this was right in the middle of the space race. No human had been up in space yet. So this was pre-Yuri Gagarin. I think this was 1960. Okay? And this image was printed, and there's a fantastic scene from The Right Stuff, which is a really good TV series about the space race from the perspective of the astronauts in the NASA program in the early 1960s and late 1950s. And they said, look at this, like, it got printed in the newspaper, and it comes to the NASA headquarters, and all the astronauts are like, look at this picture. And one of them's like, oh, it's just the moon. It's like, no, that's the far side of the moon, the side of the moon that we have never seen. And the Soviets captured this image with their spacecraft. This was a big deal, okay? Big deal, all right? So the Luna program and the Surveyor program, these were a really important lunar exploration from both the Soviet Union and the United States, okay? So we'll leave this image up while we kind of shift gears. Well, let's talk just really quick. Let's talk really quick about a few of the other countries that have done cool stuff. The Chinese space program has landed multiple spacecraft on the surface of the moon, including the first soft landing on the far side of the moon. And that was just recently. That was, I think, 2017, 2018. The missions of the Chinese space program to the moon are called Chang'e, which is the Chinese goddess of the moon. Chang'e. Okay, this is the Chang'e 3 lander. And this image was taken by a small spacecraft called the U2 rover. Okay. Oh, what? Like the band, yeah. No, YUTU, U2. Okay. And this is kind of fun. So Chang'e, the Chinese goddess of the moon, has a little pet rabbit, as far as I understand. I don't understand ancient Chinese mythology very well, but she has like a little pet rabbit, and that little pet rabbit is U2. And so Chang'e 3 lander had the U2 rover. Yeah.
That rabbit is also the rabbit that makes the elixir of everlife.
Yes, of ever living. Yeah, yeah. So the yeah. Anyway, pretty cool. The Chang'e program is pretty cool. All right. So let's talk really quick about some Mars missions. Okay. Some Mars missions. The Mars Probe program. Yes, I know the Soviets are not very creative with their names. The just, you know, way that it works. Okay. So the Mars 1 was an unsuccessful mission. Here it is on a Soviet stamp, kind of fun. It was successful in that it got to Mars, but it never achieved orbit. It was supposed to get into orbit around Mars, but it never did the orbit thing. The Mars 2 program, they tried to send multiple. Getting to Mars is difficult. Okay, getting to Mars is difficult. But it's not always successful, right? So here is the Mars 3.
Wait, what happens to
Mars 2 had a failure on the way. They lost power. Here's Mars 3, robotic space probe from the Soviets. It was launched in '71. Okay. Mars 2 failed, and Mars 2 and Mars 3 were actually identical.
When was Mars 3 launched?
1971, and it had with it a small lander, which became the first thing to soft land on the surface of Mars, Mars 3. It successfully landed in, let's see here, successfully landed in December 2nd, 1971.
Did you crash anything into Mars before Mars 2?
So I don't know the answer to that question. If we had any impactors, we may have had some Mars impactors, but not that I'm aware of.
The way that you phrased that this is the first thing that's soft.
It was the first soft land, yeah.
Tells me that it wasn't the first big object to touch it.
Yeah, my guess is that it was, or maybe Zond. So the Soviets tried to send a spacecraft to Mars called Zond. Before that, it was launched in 1964. None of them were successful. So there's that. Okay. Now, NASA has also done a lot of really interesting missions to Mars. For instance, the Viking program. The Viking program was a combination orbiter lander spacecraft. There were two of them sent, Viking 1 and Viking 2. Okay. And it landed in 1976, Viking 1 did.
It landed on Mars.
Landed on Mars. Yep. All right. So pretty cool. It was.
Was that after the Mars?
Yeah, it was. It held the record for the longest Mars surface mission of 6.5 years until Opportunity broke that record. The Opportunity rover. Okay. So the Viking Lander. Here's an image that the Viking Lander took from the surface. And this is the first image, this is the first like real image that we ever received from the surface of Mars. The Mars 3 program, the Mars 3 mission from the Soviet Union did land, but they had a whole bunch of problems with the landing, and they were never able to get real images from the surface. This is the first real image from the surface of Mars.
It's a pretty good resolution.
Oh yeah, and you've got to remember as well. They were sending this back like 2 bits at a time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. It took a really long time. Here's a really nice panoramic.
That's like the A color. With a filter.
Yep. The first panoramic view of Viking 1 from the surface. So this was 1976. Beautiful. You can see as well here. So this is, you can see the sun over there. Really cool. Yep. Mars is a very interesting surface. And then this is the first color image taken from Viking. It's real small. But this is the first time that we got a real look at the redness of the red planet. Pretty cool. Okay?
And
So,
it bugs me how much it was like Utah.
yeah, so that's the Viking program. NASA also followed up with other Mars missions, such as Pathfinder, Odyssey, Observer, Express, Reconnaissance, Phoenix. Okay, pretty cool. And then the 2 Mars Science Laboratory rovers, which were Opportunity and Spirit. Here's our good old pal Spirit taking a selfie. It had a camera on an arm that it could turn around towards itself and take a couple images, and then we stitched the images together to make this. Pretty fun. Okay. So humans have sent a whole bunch to Mars. We have also sent quite a bit to Venus. However, Venus is very difficult to, live on. Yeah. The Venera program. The Venera program was a program from the Soviet Union to send spacecraft to Venus. Again, you nailed it. Venera means Venus. This is a high gain antenna that is contractible, expandable antenna. Pretty cool. This really does look like if I'm making a movie in the 1960s that's trying to look futuristic, this is exactly what it would look like. Okay.
That has to be a parabola that has a focal point, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Does it like keep the same focal point as it expands, or does it?
So it has to fully expand to get the correct focal point.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So the Venera program was mildly successful. they had multiple failures, but a few of them were successful. We got the some of the first images from Venera 9. Venera 9. This is the first image from the surface of Venus. Not great quality. Not great quality. You also have to understand that the amount of time on the surface that the landers were functional was in like a few minutes. Because of the pressure and the heat, many of these landers did not make it very long.
Oh, is that what the light on the edges is? Is that due to the heat or something?
This?
Yeah.
That's the horizon.
No, it's on all the edges, all four.
Oh, yeah, it's probably just because of the low quality of the image. Okay.
So I'm wondering, is this a fisheye lens or is that like a mount?
Yeah, it's a fisheye lens. Yeah, good question. Okay, we would get better images from later Venera missions. Here's a color image. You can see that it's quite yellow. We really don't have very many good images from the surface of Venus. Come on, SpaceX. Yeah. So the longest time that any of the landers worked was 127 minutes, just over 2 hours. That was Venera 13, which took this image. There was all sorts of problems with the cameras and the other lander scientific imagers and so forth. It was very difficult to do. We got some good images from orbiters of Venus. This is from the Pioneer Venus program, which is the U.S. Venus program. But again, we don't have a lot of really good images from the surface of Venus. What's up?
Hi, I brought you a donut.
Oh,
You
thank you.
did the videos and you. Anyway, thank you for doing
Yeah,
that.
no
So
problem.
here, this is for you and you can do whatever you want.
Oh, thank you. Oh man, choices.
So, yeah, those are like all jelly filled. That's red velvet. That's a glazed croissant. If you like those croissants.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it a lot.
I appreciate you showing up. So thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem. Okay, so any other questions about the Venus exploration program? Two space. Okay. Really quick, before I finish up the discussion today, I wanted to mention just a couple of missions that were really important. The Galileo program. The Galileo mission was the first really successful mission to the surface of, or not to the surface, but to orbit Jupiter, Galileo. Really cool. Lots of really important science was obtained from the Galileo program. Information about the magnetic field of Jupiter, as well as some really good information about a few of its moons. So we could get more information about, like the radiation in the Jupiter system, as well as looking at the lightning on the lightning and the radio emissions from from Jupiter because Jupiter has crazy storms and it's generating lots of energy and so forth. So the Galileo program, really cool. Okay.
It's like pretty far away from us.
Jupiter? Yeah, Jupiter is a ways away. Jupiter is about it's about 700 million kilometers. Yeah, so it's a ways. Also, I wanted to mention the Cassini-Huygens mission. Cassini-Huygens mission was a mission to Saturn. That is Cassini, C-A-S-S-I-N-I, Cassini. Cassini has really, in my opinion, Cassini returned some of the most beautiful images in the history of humanity. Obviously, this is just an artist rendering, but I want to show you a few of these images. Okay? Okay. Beautiful. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of Saturn's moons with Saturn's outermost rings. Obviously, this is every side of Titan using an infrared camera.
So what are we looking at there?
So this is Titan. Titan is the largest moon of Saturn.
What's the infrared showing?
Infrared is showing the surface.
Like, what's the difference between the blue, the yellow, and the red? Purple.
So this is looking at the concentration of the purple, I believe, is atmospheric liquid.
Okay.
As well as you're looking at some surface features. Okay.
So what's the yellow and the red?
I do not know.
Ice.
Yeah, it's probably just ice. Beautiful, beautiful images here. Okay, you have Saturn with its rings, the shadow of the planet being cast onto the rings.
Why does the ring form like that?
It forms as a ring because of the rotation. The conservation of angular momentum tells us that as something spins, things flatten out. Okay, here's Titan, image kind of close up. There's another beautiful one. The shadow of the ring on the planet.
This like does not even look real.
Yep. Here's the rings, edge on.
Okay.
Rings, the rings are unbelievably thin. The rings are about 100 meters thick at their thickest. Most of the ring is about 10 meters thick. Beautiful, beautiful. Here we have a high definition image of the rings. So all these images were taken by one spacecraft, the Cassini. Here's Enceladus. Here, this one's cool because this is when Saturn is in equinox. So the shadow of the ring is extremely thin. Most of the time, the shadow of the ring is kind of broad because of the angle, but this is when the planet was in equinox with the sun. Here we have, again, the rings, and here's the shadow of the planet bisecting this image. Yeah. But you still have a little bit, you have some shine from these rings, just from reflection. Shh. Sorry, you too, dude. Okay. Dione, one of the moons. Okay, it's got a solar, like a sun flare on the lens flare. The final frontier. This is the crashing zone of the
That's just like Photoshop.
yeah. Here are some plumes coming out of these are water geysers.
Oh, that's so cool.
These are water geysers shooting out of the surface of Enceladus, backlit by the ring. That's what's so cool.
Oh my goodness.
So the sun is over here. You see this is the ring, the closest ring to Enceladus, being illuminated by the sun. What was the what? Oh yeah, this is where the Cassini probe went to die. Cassini dove into Saturn to preserve any kind of we don't want human-made things touching any of the moons of Saturn because we think that there could be life there.
Are you serious?
Because Cassini was not like built to be a lander. It was built to just orbit, and we don't know if we don't want to contaminate those moons.
Why do you think that there's like that?
Because there's liquid water. We don't think that there is life there. We think that there could be life there. There is the possibility. Well, until we have evidence of extraterrestrial life, the null hypothesis is there is no evidence for it. But anyway,
Unless the universe is truly.
here's Titan and Rhea, two of the moons. Just beautiful. Just absolutely gorgeous. I think a lot of these images, here's the planet with the rings in the foreground. Yes, Grover.
There is a little bit of evidence of aliens out there.
Nothing that has been scientifically accepted yet.
Yeah, but there is there are some videos of UFOs and stuff out there.
Okay, but UFOs, okay, let's actually bring that up. It's a good question. UFOs are saying, I don't know what this thing is, therefore aliens. That doesn't work. Okay? I don't know what this thing is, therefore leprechauns is a completely valid rebuttal to that, right? Oh, we saw this thing that's flying, therefore people that live in the earth that are lizards. That is equally valid as aliens. So when people talk about like UFOs, a UFO does not mean aliens. It means it's an unidentified flying object.
Yeah, but aliens are cool.
Yeah, but aliens are cool. Therefore, how I feel dictates my opinion.
That's how the world works.
Yeah, that's how the world works. What? You want rationality? No, I want emotions. Okay, anyway, carrying on.
Mr. Kershaw, how do you feel about letters?
How do I feel about what?
Letters.
No, I'm not doing it. Here we have more rings and the moon. Anyway, so I think this is just really cool. Cassini, when Cassini finished its mission, I literally like kind of choked up. It was one of the most important missions that we have ever sent. Okay, I'm going to finish the video for today, and then we're going to talk about a couple things, and then we're going to start on an assignment that is due on Friday about the Voyager spacecraft. Okay? All right. Like and subscribe or whatever.